Well, the standard answer that I've given everyone as far away as Sydney and Berlin and New York and places like that, and it's a story I'm sticking to, is that everything is not only poetically and psychologically true, but actually literally true as well. Now, you can't fool a Winnipegger, so I'm just going to ask all 1,600 of you to sort of back me on this one. If anyone, I'm going to ask you to collude with me. Now, many of the things in the movie are true, and some of these people I'm sure didn't know. I didn't even know about If Day until halfway through shooting the movie, and I didn't know about so many things. Noam and I, when we went on walks, he told me about the forks beneath the forks, you know, which is a long-held belief among the First Nations community and things like that. I have no idea if it's a geographical, a geological fact that doesn't concern me, you know. But there's also, so I've always just sort of said to myself that the movie is, well, 33% hard fact, 33% legend, and 33% just desire or wishful thinking on my part, you know. So and therefore true if I sulk enough. You know.
The thing that everybody, just about, and if you read through the reviews, that they can't actually believe, strangely enough, is If Day. And clearly, If Day happened. I mean, it's a fabrication of your mind.
It takes an American. It took an American to tell me about If Day. The animator who did the silhouette animations in this movie is from Missoula, Montana. And when I told him I was making this movie, he said, "So you must be doing If Day, huh?" And I was like, "What's that?" I didn't know anything about it. It's just a strange thing. You know, we all know, living so close to America and its tremendous, like, huge cultural shadow. There's not that much difference between Canadians and Americans compared to other countries, and so when pressed, Canadians, when pressed, like, to define being Canadian, most Canadians just say, "Well, we're not American." And then when pressed further, they you know, what's that mean? They say, "Well, we don't exaggerate, we don't boast so much," and so. But there's something, the casualty of that is in our mythology, because there's no more surefire way of consigning an historical figure or an event to complete oblivion than to present it in life-size terms. And whereas every other country in the world, perhaps because they're not so close to the most titanic, self-mythologizing nation ever, feels free to build a national identity for itself. Now, we have a national identity, obviously, but it's kind of hamstrung a little bit by, at least it's been my belief that's one of the things that really made me want to make this movie. I just wanted to give this the same treatment all other countries would give their own myths and stories are real. You know, Abraham Lincoln, Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed, or whatever, but all those people sort of go into a sense of their national identity, and it doesn't really matter which ones are, you know, if Louis Riel had a giant axe and a big ox or something, I don't know, people misunderstand. There's eventually boils down into an essence, a national identity somehow.
The axe was that fabulous woman who looked like she was going to belt that cop. It was the documentary side of it is remarkable too, isn't it? There's a way in which you did a wonderful job in finding the kind of images that you needed to support the mythology you were also creating, which came out of actual documentary fact.
Katerina, who was working for me, went down to the Manitoba Archives and just emptied out every movie. There weren't that many movie cameras in Winnipeg early in the 20th century, and we just took basically everything. Someone at the Holly Snowshoe Club had a movie camera and took lots of.
So there was a Holly Snowshoe Club?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, well,
it's in the movie. I'm sorry, I wanted to ask you. And the birth rate did increase substantially because of all those cold trysts.
There's a little blip in the birth rate.
Did you know, I mean, this is a kind of an odd question to ask you, did you know how funny this film was going to be? Did you intend it to be?
No, I was a little bit embarrassed at it.
Because you were doing a Shakespeare tragedy and laughing.
No, I'm very pleased. I've always been thrilled to get a laugh, whether it was intended or not. So it means they're watching.
The performance side of it is, I mean, you've become, after all, I want to give you credit. That was a pretty fabulous performance tonight as well. I mean, people are,
couple of plugs.
It's amazing how you get into it. I mean, you
I try to conceal, well, it's the old propagandist in me. I've managed to conceal from most people the fact that at least 5 points per show, I'm convinced I'm about to faint, and my knees start turning to orange jello, and then I manage to just recover myself, and then I wonder, and then I spend the next few lines while I'm reading wondering if I just imagined that whole fainting spell or something. I don't know, just things just get irreal for a little while. I'm not really meant to be up here, but I really enjoy it when it's over. Man, the beer tastes great.
The other thing that I mean, I've seen, as have probably most people in all of your films, this is a very beautifully written and structured film. I mean, you get that literary term, all the metaphors and tropes are just rolling in this film. Did you work, I don't want to say harder on the script, because you've worked with George Tolles and done some wonderful writing, but this seems to me to be a very, very tight way of imagining this film that you're making about Winnipeg.
It was very daunting to have a semi-movie and then having to write the narration. It just all of a sudden felt like I was in high school again, like and everything was due tomorrow and everything like that. So, but Jody Shapiro suggested that I just go into the recording studio, and I remember you helped me out. We just tried finding something. First of all, I wanted to somehow exhume Lauren Green or James Mason or something, someone with a really great voice to narrate the thing, but Jody and the other producer, Michael Burns, wouldn't let me. They said that, look, it's fantastic enough as it is. Like, if you have someone playing you as a narrator, it'll just come off as a mockumentary, and that's the dirtiest word in my vocabulary for making this. I just didn't want anyone to think this is a mockumentary. So they forced me to use my own voice, and I'm one of those people that can't stand his own voice. I can't stand hearing it in phone messages and things like that. So at one point we hired you just to talk to me in a recording studio and get some of the anecdotes. So some of those survive in the delivery, and in the writing. They're just improvised things. And other times I just went in with Michelle Germain at Video Pool and just sort of riffed. Sometimes the things just scribbled out quickly, or sometimes just improvised, and usually just in with my car's blinkers still on, and just run in very small, because I was just too intimidated by a large thing, and then by large chunks of narration, and then we just gave those to my priceless editor, John Gerdebeck, who cut them all into a radio play version of this movie, and then he cut the picture to that. And then we listened to it, Jody and I, and it was very lugubrious, all one note all the way through. So I just went back in and tried to shake it up, like a sore-armed pitcher trying to throw a slow pitch and then a slower one and a slower one or something, I don't know, just to sort of try to shake it up.
It's such a fantasy. I mean, that.
And then, of course, George wrote all the dialogue. It makes sense that George would write the dialogue from my memories. My childhood.
That's really scary, actually.
Yeah.
But it's such a lovely city that has a street named Lorette that you can get away with that hermaphroditic joke about a street. I mean,
and Alverstone as well. They were trying to arrange for a way. It seems impossible for them to get together. But, there's a few others apparently in the North End. I don't know.
This is also the dirtiest film you've ever made, I'm pleased to say.
Thank you. I'm working on it.
Getting there.
The older I get.
There must be a lot of stories you didn't tell. I mean, it seems to me that the mythology of Winnipeg, apart from its reality, is so rich that this could have been part one of what is a kind of Berlin or Alexanderplatz, and you could go on and on and on.
Well, literally there could have been the Winnipeg Alexanderplatz 16-hour television special, but we always wanted to keep it just over an hour, just keep it, not where it's welcome.